Hey guys, and welcome to this brand new series called The Lore Tour. This series is all about exploring the world of Hydaelyn and its many realms. Fans have been asking for a lore video for quite some time, and I figured this show would be the best way to finally share that with my fans and curious players of the Final Fantasy series. In our first episode, we'll be taking a closer look at the Midlander Hyur and his companions from the 2 CG trailers and various promotional artwork Square-Enix has provided over the past 3 years. Let us dive right in and explore the meaning behind these CG trailers and understand the making behind them as a whole in this premiere episode of The Lore Tour. It all starts with a Midlander male, Miqo'te female, an Elzen male in a local tavern, also known as the Adventurers Guild. You see them in the 1.0 opening movie for the first time, as they are looking to make some quick gil. And so they do what most other parties do, at least at the time of the original game's release. They head to their local Adventurers Guild for some lead quest. The 3 big questions here are, when is this? Where are they? And what happens to the Midlander? To answer the first is 1572, close to Eorzean present day. This is backed by the fact that there are 3 members that have been blessed with the Echo, an especially rare ability to look deep into the past of others' lives through reliving someone's memories, which is a series of instances that envision the player through flashbacks of certain key events in the world's historical timeline. Think of it similar to the story of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, where the ghost of Christmas past invites Ebenezer Scrooge to relive and see his past from others' perspectives to give an overall understanding of what happened on a certain day. The Echo works in a similar fashion too, minus the ghost in Christmas carols of course. However, you cannot change the past, nor visit the future. You can only experience it and gain the knowledge from it. This special power granted to our heroes leads others to believe it to be a gift from the gods, also known as the 12. It was revealed in the main scenario that most adventurers with this gift received the power after witnessing a star shower, the same one players witnessed at the beginning of the original Final Fantasy XIV and again in A Realm Reborn. Taking a step aside for a second, there have been several threads on the official Lodestone's forums about Hydaelyn's timeline not matching up with Earth's. If it has been over 3 years since the release of the game, why was it still 1572 in Eorzea at the time of patch 1.23, which was the final patch before the original game's eventual shutdown? This is a dilemma faced by a lot of MMOs. To allow everyone that joins the game, regardless of what they do, to experience the full story, there simply has to be a stoppage of time, or more accurately described as a time bubble in which a span of about a year is contained. This is why that for the duration of 1.0, Eorzea was in a perpetual 1572. Using South Park or Family Guy as a reference that most can understand, you have characters around for dozens of seasons and multitudes of episodes showing up time and time again, and yet the kids from South Park remain the same age, in the same grade perpetually forever, and Stewie remains an infant without ever showing signs of physically growing. Final Fantasy XIV's world has to work in a similar way, not to confuse new players, according to the community rep Fernehalwes. Pushing time along would also mean changing thousands of lines of NPC dialogue, updating quests, web pages, etc. with every patch, meaning it would take more than double the time to release updates, and I'm sure most people would want to wait. In a book, movie, offline game, a strict timeline can be set without too many complications. In an online title, there are just too many variables, so the results are done so for what the developers refer to as the greater good. To answer the second question is where we encounter our first main hiccup. Many have commented that the setting has to be Ishgard because no other Adventurers Guild has its own aetheryte. However, when looking closely at the guild leaves that the Midlander brings back from the counter, we can see that the plates have Limsa Lominsa engraved in the frames, which can only mean that it was this Alacrity that issued them. The reason behind the flub is fairly simple. The visual works team that designed the first opening movie began to work on it far before the in-game layout of Limsa's Adventurers Guild was finalized. By the time the map team had decided that the aetheryte was going in a separate plaza to help cut down on congestion of the Adventurers Guild, The CGI was too far along to change without setting the completion date back, and so they left it as is. This also explains the Miqo'te's eye discrepancy players had noticed, which sports a more cat-like eye appearance. Regarding the third question, all three have the power of the Echo, allowing them to experience the past, interact with it, but ultimately not change the outcome of anything important. While sifting through guild leaves, our well-groomed Midlander is flung back into another person's memory about a simple job to kill a marble. The job ultimately takes an unexpected twist that ends in the party witnessing one of the most spectacular battles of the 6th Astral Era. So then we hit our next batch of important questions. Where does the Echo take the Midlander? How far back does it take him? What in the 7 hells is going on? It all starts when the Midlander journeys back approximately 10 years and appears in a location near Mordana. After helping a party which consists of the familiar Lalafell female, Rogadin male, and Elzen female finish their leave quest objectives, which was to slay the marble, an Imperial Juggernaut appears before they can access the Ethereal node and collect a reward. The Midlander accidentally gets tossed onto the back of one of these machines and gets carried up into the sky, where he witnesses the Garleans fight with the dragon Midgardsormr in the Battle of Silver Tier Skies. Though the Great Dragon is able to destroy the Garlean flagship, he perishes in the process, and the seal which he protected, guarding the concentration of Aether beneath Silver Tier's lake, is broken, allowing the beast tribes access to the energy, which they use to freely summon their primals, as taught to them by the mysterious paragons. The Garleans, having lost their flagship and sensing the presence of something more powerful than their remaining forces can handle, retreat back to Alamigo. Meanwhile, with the fall of the Keeper of the Lake, the ethereal balance in the area gets thrown out of whack, transforming the once lush area into a crystalline wasteland. Silver Tier Falls now dried up. Some have theorized that the Midlander takes over the body of a fourth party member and witnesses what the person saw. While an interesting theory, this unfortunately is not how the Echo works. There may have been a fourth party member around earlier, but he was gone by the time the Midlander arrived, probably returned to his home point after getting KO'd and accidentally dropping his bow. It is because the party of 3 keep watching the battle, from the ground, after defeating the Marble that the Midlander is able to experience it, albeit from a better vantage point. His experience ends when he gets knocked from the Juggernaut and hits the ground, because you cannot die in an Echo-induced memory. So that brings us back to 1572, when the story of the original Final Fantasy XIV takes place. The Midlander is obviously intrigued by what he has experienced. Up until now, he'd never partied with anyone who could wield such powerful blizzard magics. And he'd sure as hell's never partied with anyone who could hop onto the marble and whack it across the head. And so he decides, right then and there, that he will search out this party of 3, and add them to his link show, so that they may adventure together in the future. Fast forward to the Battle of Cartanu. Several moons have passed since the Midlander located the party from the past. They all have pledged their allegiance to a grand company, learned of the Meteor Project from Cid, heard the questionable prophecies of Urianger, collected colored eggs from thieving Spriggans, unlocked new jobs and cleverly named quests, slain a trio of Aether-hungry primals. Okay, 2 Aether-hungry primals and 1 super cuddly primal, and bested a maniacal Legatus. Along the way, they lose the services of 1 Elzen male, but this does not detract them from taking up their blades in one final battle to save the realm from Dalamud. They fight valiantly, but not even the prayers of millions of souls can contain Bahamut's rage, and so the Archon Loiswa sends the party into a timeless rift, where they wait until the realm is reborn. So yes, the Midlander male, Miqo'te female, Rogadin male, Elzen female, and Lalafell female in the recent trailers are in fact the same ones that appeared in the 1.0 trailer. Yes, the Black Mage is the Elzen female from the Marble party, not the snooty male from the Midlander's party. The robe and hat conceal some of her more distinguishable features. And we all know there was no bust size adjustment feature back in 1.0. But that still leaves one question. Was the party an actual party, or were they merely symbols meant to represent you, the players? According to Fernehalwes, they're actually both. They all ventured into Eorzea at the same time as you did. They all did similar quests and lived through similar adventures. They exist as your characters exist, in a virtual world sort of existence. The fact that you haven't come across them is probably the same reason you haven't come across my character, Jerbird Leone. Or maybe you have. They're just somewhere else. Maybe you'll encounter them somewhere in the future, or maybe you won't. We may never know. And that concludes this episode of The Lore Tour. Thanks for tuning in, and hopefully you found this video entertaining and informative. See you next time, and thanks for watching.